In a land far beyond the tallest mountains and the deepest seas, where the sun painted the sky with hues of gold and lavender, there existed a realm where dragons ruled the skies. These magnificent creatures soared effortlessly, their scales shimmering like jewels under the warm sun. Among them, in a cozy nest atop the highest peak of Mount Aether, a dragon egg began to quiver. The egg was a brilliant shade of crimson, flecked with specks of gold that caught the light. It rocked back and forth, tiny cracks appearing on its surface. The elder dragons gathered around, their eyes filled with anticipation. With a final tremble, the egg split open, and out tumbled a tiny dragonette with gleaming amber eyes and scales that glowed like embers. "Welcome to the world, Ember," whispered his mother, nuzzling him gently. The other dragons cheered, their voices echoing through the mountains. Ember blinked up at them, a warm feeling spreading in his chest. He was surrounded by love and wonder, and he couldn't wait to explore this vibrant world. As days turned into weeks, Ember watched his siblings and the other young dragons take to the skies. They flapped their wings and lifted off the ground with ease, darting through clouds and diving between peaks. Ember tried to join them, stretching his wings wide and giving them a vigorous flap. But no matter how hard he tried, his feet remained firmly on the ground. "Don't worry, Ember," his father reassured him. "Flying takes time. You'll get the hang of it." But as more time passed, Ember's frustration grew. He practiced from dawn till dusk, but his wings just wouldn't cooperate. The other dragonettes began to whisper among themselves, and Ember could feel their eyes on him, filled with pity and confusion. One afternoon, as the sun cast long shadows across the mountains, Ember sat alone on a rocky ledge. He gazed up at the sky, watching his siblings loop and twirl with effortless grace. "Why can't I fly like them?" he murmured to himself. Just then, an old dragon with scales the color of moonlight landed beside him. It was Elder Aelric, the wisest dragon in the realm. "Mind if I join you?" Aelric asked softly. Ember shook his head. "I just don't understand," he sighed. "I've tried everything, but I can't fly." Aelric looked at him thoughtfully. "Sometimes the answers we seek aren't found in the places we expect," he said. "Perhaps it's time you sought guidance beyond our mountain." Ember turned to him, curiosity flickering in his eyes. "What do you mean?" "There is a legend," Aelric began, "of the Skybinder, a mythical creature who can teach any dragon how to fly. They say it resides in the heart of a floating island high above the clouds." Ember's heart skipped a beat. "Do you think the Skybinder could help me?" "Only one way to find out," Aelric replied with a wink. That night, Ember couldn't sleep. The thought of finding the Skybinder filled him with a mixture of hope and excitement. As dawn broke, he approached his parents. "I've decided," he announced. "I'm going to find the Skybinder." His mother gasped softly. "But Ember, the world beyond our mountain is vast and unknown." "I know," he said firmly, "but I need to do this. I need to learn how to fly." His father placed a protective wing around him. "If this is what you truly want, we won't stop you. But promise us you'll be careful." Ember nodded. "I promise." And so, with a small satchel of provisions and a heart full of determination, Ember set off on his journey. The path down the mountain was steep and winding, lined with ancient trees whose branches reached out like welcoming arms. The air was filled with the scent of pine and the distant song of birds. As he ventured into the forest at the mountain's base, Ember marveled at the world around him. Sunlight filtered through the canopy, casting dappled shadows on the forest floor. Flowers of every color dotted the landscape, and tiny creatures scurried through the underbrush. Suddenly, a rustling sound caught his attention. From behind a large oak tree stepped a young human girl with bright blue eyes and a crown of wildflowers woven into her dark curls. "Hello there," she called out cheerfully. Ember blinked in surprise. He had never met a human before. Hello?" he replied cautiously. The girl smiled. "I'm Lila. I've never seen a dragon up close before. What's your name?" "Ember," he said, relaxing slightly. There was something warm and genuine about her that put him at ease. "Nice to meet you, Ember. What brings you to these woods?" "I'm on a journey to find the Skybinder," he explained. "I need to learn how to fly." Lila's eyes widened. "The Skybinder? That's an incredible quest. Mind if I join you? I've always wanted to go on an adventure." Ember hesitated. "I don't know. It could be dangerous." She shrugged. "All the best adventures are. Besides, 2 heads are better than 1. Ember considered this. Having a companion might make the journey less lonely, and Lila seemed resourceful. "All right," he agreed. "We can travel together." "Fantastic," Lila beamed. "I promise you won't regret it." And so, the unlikely pair set off deeper into the forest, unaware of the challenges and wonders that awaited them. The forest seemed alive with magic. As Ember and Lila walked, they noticed the trees began to change. Their trunks twisted in intricate patterns, and their leaves shimmered with iridescent hues. "These are the Whispering Woods," Lila whispered. "They say the trees here can talk." Ember tilted his head, listening intently. At first, all he heard was the rustling of leaves, but then faint whispers drifted through the air. "Seekers of the Skybinder," the voices murmured. "Trials you must face." Lila reached out to touch one of the trees. "What trials?" she asked aloud. The tree's bark shifted under her hand, forming words. "Courage, wisdom, and heart will guide you." Ember felt a shiver run down his spine. "I guess we need to prove ourselves," he said. As they ventured further, the path split into 3 directions. Each path was marked by a stone etched with a symbol: a flame, a feather, and a tear. "Which way should we go?" Ember wondered. Lila studied the symbols. "Maybe the flame represents courage, the feather wisdom, and the tear heart." Ember nodded. "That makes sense. Which trial should we face first?" "Perhaps courage," Lila suggested. "It's the foundation of any journey." They chose the path marked by the flame. The air grew warmer as they walked, and soon they found themselves standing before a vast chasm filled with molten lava. A narrow stone bridge stretched across it, but it was crumbling and unstable. "Well, that's intimidating," Ember gulped. Lila took a deep breath. "We have to trust ourselves. I'll go first." She stepped onto the bridge, carefully placing one foot in front of the other. Ember followed closely behind, his heart pounding in his chest. Halfway across, the bridge began to shake. Pieces of stone broke away, plummeting into the fiery depths below. "Don't look down," Lila called out. But Ember couldn't help it. He glanced downward and felt dizzy as he watched the lava swirl beneath them. Suddenly, a gust of hot wind surged upward, nearly knocking them off balance. Ember's instincts kicked in. He wrapped his tail around Lila, anchoring them both to the bridge. "Hold on," he shouted. They clung to each other as the wind subsided. Slowly, they resumed their cautious steps, and finally reached the other side. As they stepped onto solid ground, the flames in the chasm subsided, and the heat dissipated. "You have shown courage," a voice echoed. "Proceed with wisdom." The path led them to a serene lake, surrounded by willows, whose branches draped gracefully over the water's edge. The surface of the lake was so still, it looked like a mirror, reflecting the sky and trees perfectly. "This must be the trial of wisdom," Lila mused. They approached the water's edge, and a ripple spread across the lake. From beneath the surface emerged a creature unlike any they had seen, a large turtle with a shell adorned with glowing runes. "Greetings, travelers," the turtle spoke in a deep, resonant voice. "To proceed, you must solve my riddle." Ember exchanged a glance with Lila. "We're ready," he said. The turtle nodded. "I have towns but no houses, forests but no trees, and rivers but no water. What am I?" Lila furrowed her brow. "Towns but no houses, forests but no trees." Ember thought hard. "Rivers but no water. Could it be a map?" Lila's eyes lit up. "Yes, a map." The turtle smiled. "You are correct. Wisdom guides you well." The lake began to shimmer, and a pathway of stepping stones appeared across the water. "Thank you," Ember said gratefully. They crossed the lake, the stones solid beneath their feet. As they reached the other side, the willows swayed, and the voice returned. "With wisdom, you have advanced. Now, only the trial of heart remains." The landscape transformed once more. They entered a valley where the walls were high, and the air was filled with echoes of laughter, cries, and whispers. "This place feels strange," Ember remarked. Lila nodded. "It's like the valley is alive with emotions." As they walked, the echoes grew louder, and they began to hear their own voices. "I can't fly," Ember's voice echoed sadly. "I don't belong here," Lila's voice whispered. Ember stopped in his tracks. Why are we hearing this? A mist enveloped them, and figures emerged, shadowy versions of themselves expressing their deepest fears and insecurities. "This is the trial of heart," Lila realized. "We have to confront our own doubts." Ember stepped forward. "I may not be able to fly yet, but that doesn't define me," he shouted at his shadow. "I am strong, and I will find a way." Lila faced her own shadow. "I may feel out of place, but I choose my own path. I am brave and capable." As they spoke, the shadows dissolved, and the echoes faded into a gentle melody. "Your hearts are true," the valley whispered. "You have passed the trials." The mist lifted, revealing a staircase carved into the mountainside, leading upwards into the clouds. "That must be the way to the Skybinder," Ember said, his eyes shining with hope. They climbed the staircase, ascending higher and higher until they broke through the cloud layer. Before them lay a breathtaking sight, a floating island suspended in the sky, lush with greenery and sparkling waterfalls that cascaded into the clouds below. "Wow," Lila breathed. "It's like a piece of paradise." They stepped onto the island, the grass soft beneath their feet. In the center stood a grand tree whose branches stretched towards the heavens. At its base rested a creature of ethereal beauty, a being with wings that shimmered like opal and eyes that held the wisdom of ages. "Welcome, Ember and Lila," the creature spoke, its voice melodic and soothing. "I am the Skybinder." Ember felt a surge of emotion. "Skybinder, I've come to learn how to fly. Can you help me?" The Skybinder gazed at him kindly. "You have journeyed far and faced many challenges. Tell me, why do you wish to fly?" Ember paused. I want to join my fellow dragons in the skies. I want to feel the wind beneath my wings and see the world from above. The Skybinder nodded. And what have you learned on your journey? Ember glanced at Lila. I've learned that courage, wisdom, and heart are as important as physical abilities. That friendship can make us stronger. Indeed, the Skybinder agreed. The ability to fly comes not just from the body, but from the spirit. The Skybinder extended a wing, touching Ember gently on the forehead. A warmth spread through him, and he felt a lightness in his limbs. Close your eyes and feel the sky within you, the Skybinder instructed. Ember closed his eyes, taking a deep breath. He imagined the wind, the clouds, the freedom of flight. He felt a stirring in his wings. Now, open your eyes, the Skybinder said softly. Ember opened them to find himself hovering a few feet above the ground. I'm flying, he exclaimed, joy radiating from him. Lila clapped her hands. You did it, Ember. He soared upwards, looping and diving with newfound confidence. The Skybinder watched with a serene smile. Remember, Ember, the Skybinder advised, flying is as much about trusting yourself as it is about strength. Believe, and you will soar. After thanking the Skybinder, Ember and Lila began their journey back. This time, Ember flew alongside Lila, who rode on his back. They retraced their steps, marveling at how different everything looked from above. As they descended into the Valley of Echoes, the voices now sang songs of encouragement and joy. The enchanted lake sparkled like a jewel, and the whispering woods rustled with applause as they passed. When they reached the base of Mount Aether, Ember's family and the other dragons were waiting. Ember, his mother called out, tears of happiness in her eyes. He landed gracefully before them. I can fly now, he announced proudly. The dragons cheered, surrounding him with affection. Ember introduced Lila to his family, and they welcomed her warmly. You've grown so much, Elder Elric remarked, his eyes twinkling. Not just in ability, but in spirit. Ember smiled. I couldn't have done it without Lila and the journey we shared. Lila blushed. It was an honor to be part of it. That evening, a grand celebration was held. Dragons filled the skies with dazzling displays of aerial acrobatics, their scales reflecting the colors of the sunset. Music and laughter echoed through the mountains as the dragons and creatures of the realm came together. As the stars dotted the night sky, Ember and Lila sat together, overlooking the valley. I'm going to miss this place, Lila said softly. You don't have to leave, Ember replied. You could stay here with us. She shook her head gently. My family is waiting for me back home, but I'll never forget the adventures we've had. Ember felt a pang of sadness, but understood. Promise we'll see each other again? Lila smiled brightly. I promise. They sat in comfortable silence, watching as shooting stars streaked across the sky. Ember, Lila began. What will you do now? He thought for a moment. I want to help other dragons and creatures who are struggling, just like I was. Maybe I can teach them what I've learned. That's a wonderful idea, she agreed. You'll make a great teacher. As dawn approached, Lila prepared to depart. The dragons gifted her with a necklace made from a dragon scale that shimmered with all the colors of the sky. To remember us by, Ember said. She hugged him tightly. Thank you, Ember, for everything. With a final wave, Lila set off down the mountain path, the necklace gleaming against her heart. True to his word, Ember began teaching young dragons who struggled with flying. He shared the lessons he'd learned, emphasizing the importance of inner strength and self-belief. Word of his teachings spread beyond the dragon realm. Creatures from all over came to learn from Ember. The cloud-breathing wyverns, the fire-breathing salamanders, and even creatures without wings who sought guidance. Ember found joy in helping others discover their potential. Each success story filled him with pride and reaffirmed the magic within himself. One day, as he was concluding a lesson, he felt a familiar presence. Turning around, he saw Lila approaching, a smile lighting up her face. "Lila, you're back," he exclaimed, rushing to greet her. "I couldn't stay away," she laughed. "I've brought someone who wants to meet you." Behind her stood a young boy, shyly peeking from behind her. "This is my brother Finn," she introduced. "He wants to learn about courage." Ember knelt down to the boy's level. "Well, Finn, you've come to the right place." Together, they spent the day exploring, learning, and sharing stories. Ember realized that his journey was never truly over. It was evolving, just like he was. As seasons changed, the dragons decided to hold an annual festival of wings to celebrate the unique abilities and journeys of every creature. The festival became a beacon of unity, drawing beings from all corners of the world. Ember was chosen to lead the inaugural flight. As he took to the skies, he looked down at the diverse crowd gathered below. Dragons, humans, wyverns, salamanders, and many more. Among them, he spotted Lila and Finn waving enthusiastically. He soared higher, feeling the wind embrace him. Joy filled his heart, not just for his own achievements, but for the connections he'd forged and the lives he'd touched. As the sun set, painting the sky with brilliant shades of orange and pink, Ember descended. The crowd erupted in cheers, and fireworks burst overhead, illuminating the night. Elder Elric approached him, his eyes reflecting the glow of the festivities. "You've done well, Ember. The world is a brighter place because of you." "Thank you," Ember replied humbly, "but I couldn't have done it alone." Elric placed a gentle claw on his shoulder. "That's the greatest lesson of all, that together we can achieve wonders beyond imagination." In the years that followed, the realm flourished with newfound harmony. Barriers between species faded as they learned from one another. The legends of the Skybinder and the dragon who forgot how to fly became tales of inspiration shared around campfires and in bedtime stories. Ember continued his work, always seeking new ways to help others. Lila became a renowned storyteller, weaving tales of their adventures that sparked courage in the hearts of listeners, young and old. And whenever doubts arose, both Ember and Lila remembered the trials they faced and the truths they discovered, that the magic they sought was always within them, waiting to be embraced. The skies, once a symbol of unattainable dreams, became a canvas for their limitless potential. Together, they proved that with courage, wisdom, and heart, anything was possible.